A decorated CIA veteran turned a torture whistleblower and agency outcast is now awaiting a summons to start a prison sentence. John Kiriakou was one of the first to confirm the existence of Washington's waterboarding program and has been sent to jail for 2.5 years for revealing the name of an undercover agent. We're now joined by John Kiriakou himself for his view on the punishment. Mr. Kiriakou, thank you very much for being with us. The judge and your critics all seem to believe you got off lightly. Would you say you got off lightly?
No, I would not say I got off lightly for a couple of very specific reasons. First of all, my case was not about leaking. My case was about torture. When I blew the whistle on torture in December of 2007, the Justice Department here in the United States began investigating me and never stopped investigating me until they were able to patch together a charge and force me into taking a plea agreement. And I'll add another thing, too. When I took the plea in October of last year, the judge said that she thought the plea was fair and appropriate. But once the courtroom was packed full of reporters last Friday, she decided that it was not long enough, and if she had had the ability to, she would have given me 10 years.
Did you ever consider that there might be some comeback? I mean, being a decorated CIA officer, you took a stance towards the agency's policies.
I did. I took a strong stance and a very public one, and that's what got me into trouble. But honestly, the only thing I would do differently is I would have hired an attorney before blowing the whistle. Otherwise, I believe firmly, even to this day, I did the right thing.
You've called it ironic that the first person to be convicted with regards to the torture program is the man who actually shed light on it. Do you believe the others who put the program together will ever face justice?
I don't, actually. I think that President Obama, just like President Bush, has made a conscious decision to allow the torturers, to allow the people who conceived of the torture and implemented the policy, to allow the people who destroyed the evidence of the torture, and the attorneys who used specious legal analysis to approve of the torture to walk free. And I think that once that decision has been made, that's the end of it, and nobody will be prosecuted except me.
When you came out initially against torture, you said it was impractical and inefficient. Did you consider it immoral initially?
I said in 2002 that it was immoral. When I returned from Pakistan to CIA headquarters in early in the summer of 2002, I was asked by a senior officer in the CIA's counterterrorist center if I wanted to be trained in the use of torture techniques. And I told him that I had a moral problem with these techniques. I believed that they were wrong, and I didn't want to have anything to do with the torture program.
What if torture had been efficient? Would you have found it great to support then?
No. No, I grew up in a very pious Greek Orthodox home, and you know, we were instilled from a very young age with a very clear sense of right and wrong, and I believed from the beginning that torture was wrong.
It's no secret that Obama's administration has been especially harsh on whistleblowers, but can the U.S. afford leniency in these security-sensitive times?
Well, see, I think this is exactly what the problem is. In this post-9/11 atmosphere that we find ourselves in, we have been losing our civil liberties incrementally over the last decade to the point where we don't even realize how much of a police state the United States has become. You know, 10 years ago, the thought of the National Security Agency spying on American citizens and intercepting their emails would have been anathema to Americans, and now it's just a part of normal business. The idea that our government would be using drone aircraft to assassinate American citizens who have never seen the inside of a courtroom, who have never been charged with a crime, and have not had due process, which is their constitutional right, would have been unthinkable. And it's something now that happens every so often, every few weeks, every few months, and there's no public outrage. I think this is a very dangerous development.
Obama's tough stance and harsh punishments for whistleblowers, you know, have sent a message. But is he winning this fight against whistleblowers?
I don't think he is winning this fight against whistleblowers, at least not over the long term, and I'll tell you why. President Obama has charged now 7 people with violations of the Espionage Act. All previous presidents in American history combined had charged 3 people with violating the Espionage Act. Now, the Espionage Act is a World War I era act that was meant to deter German saboteurs during that First World War. And now it's being used to silence critics of the government. But so far, all 7 of these cases that have made their way into a courtroom have either collapsed or have been dismissed, including mine. All of the 3 espionage charges against me were dropped. So I think, frankly, the Obama administration is cheapening the Espionage Act. The Espionage Act should be used to prosecute spies and traitors, not to prosecute whistleblowers or people who are exercising their First Amendment right to free speech.
Do we still need whistleblowers? Are we going to see more of them coming out?
I think we will see more whistleblowers, and I think we need whistleblowers now more than ever before, whether it's in national security or whether it's in the banking industry. The American people have a right to know when there is evidence of waste, fraud, abuse, or illegality. If the Justice Department isn't going to prosecute those cases, at the very least, the American people need to know.
John Kiriakou, ex-CIA officer and torture whistleblower, speaking to us there live. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for having me.